On the 24th of October, Russian aircraft took action to intercept two United States military aircraft that violated the national borders. These two aircraft were strategic bombers and unmanned aerial vehicles conducting reconnaissance for the U.S. Air Force over the Black Sea. On the 24th of October, the Russian Ministry of Defense released a statement confirming that the Russian military had deployed Su-27 fighter jets to prevent any violations of Russia's airspace. The Russian military detected two approaching targets near the Russian airspace border over the Black Sea using their radar systems. After identifying these targets in the sky, the Russian fighter jets took off to intercept them. These targets were two B-1B strategic bombers from the United States. The Russian Ministry of Defense stated that after the Russian fighter jets approached the American bombers, the U.S. bombers turned away from the Russian airspace. Additionally, the Russian military reported that their fighter jets intercepted a U.S. UAV, specifically an RQ-4B Global Hawk, which was approaching the national border over the Black Sea. The Russian Ministry of Defense emphasized that the actions of the Russian military were in compliance with international rules regarding the use of airspace. They also highlighted that the Russian actions ensured the safety of the airspace. On the same day, the Pentagon spokesperson, John Kirby, acknowledged that Russian fighter jets had intercepted the American aircraft. He stated that the American B-1 bombers were participating in a planned exercise in Europe and that the interaction between Russian and American military aircraft was safe and professional. However, there has been no response from the U.S. regarding the information about the RQ-4B Global Hawk UAV's presence over the Black Sea. The interception of American bombers by Russia is the latest in a series of aerial interactions involving military aircraft from Russia, the United States, and NATO in a context of heightened tensions in their relations. These tensions have been exacerbated since Russia's military campaign in Ukraine last year. In March, Russian fighter jets intercepted a MQ-9 Reaper UAV from the U.S. Air Force over the Black Sea. The Pentagon alleged that two Su-27 fighters from Russia performed aggressive maneuvers, causing a collision with the U.S. UAV, resulting in it falling into the Black Sea. However, Russian officials have denied the accusations and claimed that the American aircraft turned off their transponders, made sudden sharp maneuvers, and crashed on their own after losing control. Russia's ambassador to the United States, Anatoly Antonov, asserted that the MQ-9 Reaper UAV was collecting target data to transfer to Ukraine before it crashed. The U.S. National Security Council spokesperson John Kirby mentioned that the U.S. supports an immediate ceasefire at this time, a statement made amidst concerns that the U.S. might become further involved in the conflict between Israel and Hamas. I think the message sent to Hamas is quite clear: release all the hostages first. We are not talking about a ceasefire right now. In fact, we do not believe that now is the time for a ceasefire. Israel has the right to self-defense. They still have many things to do to hunt down the leaders of Hamas. We will continue to support them. This statement was given to CNN on the 23rd of October. Coordinator for the U.S. National Security Council John Kirby further emphasized that the U.S. viewpoint is that all hostages held by Hamas in Gaza must be released before discussing a ceasefire. Earlier, President Joe Biden had initially said, "We should have a ceasefire." However, he later retracted and said that it's not a ceasefire until the hostages are released. After that, we can talk about this issue. In the meantime, a senior Israeli official spoke very firmly, stating to CNN over the weekend that there will be no ceasefire in Gaza, and humanitarian efforts should not impede the mission of eliminating Hamas by the Israeli military. Israel agrees with the perspective that a ceasefire would mean that Hamas has won and Israel has lost. Also, on October 23rd, Hamas claimed to have captured a total of 222 hostages during the October 7th attack on Israel, including many foreign nationals. Last week, Hamas released two hostages, a mother and her child, with humanitarian reasons cited. Until the night of October 23rd, Hamas had released two more hostages. This time it's based on humanitarian grounds, as requested by Egypt and Qatar. The two hostages released this time are also women, but they are Israeli citizens. However, the number of American hostages held by Hamas is still unknown. Nevertheless, in a statement released on October 22nd, U.S. Secretary of Defense Lloyd Austin made a resolute declaration that if American citizens are harmed in Gaza, the United States will invoke the right to self-defense and affirm no tolerance for retaliatory actions. Secretary Austin also stated that the U.S. will continue to enhance its military presence in the region to send a clear message to the forces seeking to escalate this conflict. Meanwhile, U.S. Secretary of State Anthony Blinken mentioned that the U.S. anticipates that Iran's proxy forces will seek opportunities to escalate the conflict, and the U.S. is prepared to respond. He also reiterated Secretary Austin's message regarding the safety of American citizens and armed forces, with a warning issued by the U.S. This development occurs in the context of Israel declaring that it will launch a ground and aerial offensive in Gaza to retaliate for the Hamas attack on October 7th, which resulted in the deaths of over 1,000 Israeli civilians. Regarding the situation in Gaza on October 23rd, the Israeli Defense Forces continued multiple new airstrikes on targets throughout Gaza. The Israeli military announced that these airstrikes had destroyed 320 targets belonging to Hamas and the jihadist group Jihad in Gaza. In the meantime, according to Palestinian health sources, about 500 more people have been killed or injured, mostly civilians, including many women and children. In general, the situation in the Gaza conflict is still highly unpredictable and remains without a resolution. Peace summit negotiations between Israel and Hamas in Gaza, organized by Egypt, have concluded without any clear breakthrough. It is worth noting that crucial parties such as Iran, Israel, and the United States have not participated in these peace summit talks. Furthermore, the U.S. has also deployed the USS Carney near Yemen to de-escalate tensions in the region of Gaza. Earlier, the aircraft carrier USS Gerald R. Ford arrived in the Mediterranean. Washington has also decided to provide thousands of 155mm artillery shells to Israel, initially reserved as direct aid for Ukraine. These actions have raised concerns that the Israel-Hamas conflict may escalate significantly if the U.S. becomes more deeply involved. This concludes the international news summary for today. Thank you for your attention and for following. Goodbye and see you next time.